This is Business Week Armenia, ＳիվիլNeթ's weekly economic digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia this week. A senior Armenian official has reported progress in negotiations with the Luxembourg-based conglomerate that owns Yerevan's main airport over a major expansion plan. We share common approaches on various issues, and we are now working on the legal formulations, Deputy Infrastructure Minister Armen Simonian told the Armen Press news agency this week. He did not provide additional details. Simonian's comments came after other senior officials indicated last year that the 20% internal rate of return that Corporación América Airports, the world's largest private airport operator, earns for running Zvartnots International Airport had emerged as a key sticking point in the negotiations. Armenia had been seeking to lower that figure. While Simonian did not refer directly to that issue, his remarks were notably more upbeat than previous officials' remarks on the state of the talks. Corporación América Airports did not immediately comment. In 2001, Armenia signed a 30-year concession agreement with the conglomerate, which is ultimately controlled by the Argentinian-Armenian billionaire Eduardo Yernekian. In the years since, Corporación América Airports has invested more than $160 million in Zvartnots. Since 2022, Zvartnots has seen a surge in traffic, with its single terminal serving more than 5.2 million passengers last year. Observers say this is mainly due to the rerouting of traffic to and from Russia following the imposition of international sanctions and other restrictions on the country's aviation sector in response to its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. In light of that increased traffic, Corporación América Airports said in an earnings report last year it was prepared to invest an additional $400 million for the construction of a second terminal. As of now, talks remain ongoing. Plans by Armenia and Masdar, the United Arab Emirates state-owned renewable energy company, to open a major solar power plant are back on track after being derailed last year by the collapse of Armenia's state-run investment fund in a sprawling corruption scandal. That is according to Armenia's economy ministry, whose chief, Gevorg Papoyan, traveled to the UAE this week for meetings with top officials, including Masdar CEO Mohammed Jamil Al-Ramahi. In a press release, the ministry said Papoyan and Al-Ramahi discussed Masdar's process for establishing a solar power plant in Armenia, approved a roadmap for the upcoming work, and reached an agreement that construction will begin in early 2026. It did not provide additional details, and Masdar did not immediately comment. In 2021, the Armenian National Interests Fund struck a $174 million deal with Masdar to build what would be Armenia's largest solar power plant in the country's western Aragats region. Under the terms of that agreement, Masdar was set to hold an 85% stake in the project, while ANIF would take the remaining shares. The project's fate was thrown into serious doubt last year when Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan dissolved ANIF amid mounting allegations of corruption and mismanagement at the agency. Later that year, Papoyan expressed hope the solar plant deal could be saved, but added that Masdar was demanding significant changes to the terms of the agreement before moving forward. Russia has confirmed for the first time it has agreed to a date for setting up a common electricity market with Armenia and other members of the Eurasian Economic Union. The full-scale launch of the market is planned for January 1st, 2027. Deputy Prime Minister Alexei Overchuk, whose portfolio includes relations with other former Soviet countries, told Russia's Izvestia newspaper in an exclusive interview this week. That would suggest the introduction of uniform electricity pricing across the vast market of the EAEU, which brings together Armenia, Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan, and is meant to promote the free movement of goods, services, capital, and labor among members. It marks the first time a Russian official has given a concrete start date for setting up an integrated energy market within the EAEU, and represents a notable shift in tone for Overchuk, who just last year told reporters he saw no need to publish a timeframe. The EAEU was initially due to set up common natural gas, oil, and electricity markets at the beginning of this year, but those moves were postponed last year, reportedly amid opposition by energy-rich members Russia and Kazakhstan. In contrast, Armenia, which has no fossil fuel reserves of its own, sees integrated Eurasian energy markets as a priority, with Pashinyan even going so far as to call on other EAEU leaders to be willing to find compromise solutions. Speaking to Izvestia, Overchuk was more vague on the prospect of formally setting up common gas and oil markets, arguing a web of bilateral agreements between Russia and other EAEU members means those markets are already de facto integrated. Those markets are best determined by countries' long-term supply contracts, Overchuk said. There was no immediate reaction from Armenia to Overchuk's remarks. And as always, keep following CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.